Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. It's a little different, it's a little special, super exciting, dear to my heart. So, welcome to the last episode of this season. Thank you for sticking around. We have 175 episodes in the bag, or as filmmakers would say, in the can. Congratulations. If you've been listening the whole season, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. We're doing Happy Dance. Season starts again in February. So if you're new, please subscribe because you don't want to miss a single episode when we come back. If you're a seasoned veteran listener, podcaster, know that it's just a short break. Enjoy your holiday because we'll be back with some amazing authors. Season starts on February 5th, and we're going to go all week long. So February 5th all the way up to February 12th for brand new episodes. And we'll also be back with a special week, so you don't want to miss it. But what do we have today? What's going on? I'm going to bring you back. If you were here in October listening to Tales of Hallows Eve, you probably kind of have an idea what's happening today. I have my dear friend, co-publisher, and literally superstar, Miss Jaime Dalton. Hi, sweetie.
Hey.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
I have been super excited about this. Most seasons, I just tend to kind of get off the air and forget to tell people that we're coming back. So I'm pretty sure they're going, where did she go? What happened? This year we're planning. Like, this was the highlight of the year. I was like, hey, this would be a lovely way to finish a season. And it's talking about our new collection, Tales of Christmas Villains. So we're going to have multiple authors, multiple chit chats with everybody all in one show. So super excited. So Jaime, let's bring it out for people who are new, who have never heard of what we're doing. What is this Tales Collections? Because you always say it so nicely. Tell us.
Well, Tales of Christmas Villains is basically a collection of short stories where the main character is not the good guy for once. And honestly, not all of them have the most conventional happy endings. When I really thought about the Christmas stories, the ones that hit readers the most, and anybody really the most, are like the Grinch and Scrooge and all these ones that are really about villains. So I thought it'd be really fun to give readers and authors like some twists on those. And I was desperate to write some sort of like Grinch retelling. So
One of the fun things about this collection is it's a little smaller than Tales of Halloween, which is kind of different in sass and level and spice. This is very much authors having a blast in the short stories. We got 5 in total. Jaime and I both have each one in this collection, but it gives us an opportunity to explore kind of the dark humor that sometimes we tend to kind of downplay trying to create something else. Jaime, let's talk about your story before we go on into the collection.
So I have this like idea of what if Hallmark actually wrote the Grinch? He had a pet dragon instead of a dog. And what if Whoville wasn't totally helpful? Like, what if Whoville had a good witch that was like countering everything that he tried to do to them? And I thought it'd be really fun to like see kind of what would happen and throw in the Hallmark tropes of the different Christmas things you do to try and melt the grumpy guy's heart. I thought there'd be so much fun in a fantasy Grinch retelling type thing.
Oh, I like the Hallmark take on it with a good witch in the middle, because I think that's the fun part about all these stories is that they do have a fantasy element to it. By the way, she's going to do a quick reading at the end. So, guys, don't panic. You're going to hear a little bit of this story because I'm super excited. Even though she gave me that look like, I don't know what she's talking about, it's happening. Let's talk a little bit about this collection, because this is number 2 for us.
Yes.
And I'm going, we're actually doing this. And it came very quickly after Halloween. So I'm going, we haven't had a break. This was a great idea. What were we thinking, Jaime? What was the most fun about this collection for you specifically compared to Halloween?
I loved our brainchild of doing this as the 12 Days of Christmas from the interns. And almost it'd be like I don't want to say like a battle between the two, but you really kind of see that like us as the interns and the librarian are definitely like a little bit at heads with each other. I loved coming up with what we could do that was like from the interns. We have the 5 stories, and then it was a lot of fun having all of the authors kind of like pitch in with recipes that came from their books and like all of these little details that just I love when I get to like do something outside of the box. Like it was so much fun making a table of contents that literally is the 12 days of Christmas my interns gave to me. It's just fun.
So for everyone, this story is a little bit unique because a lot of the times when we get collections, and Jamie and I have done a lot of them, everybody puts in a story and it's usually a theme or a title, and then we just kind of go from there. These
Yeah.
ones are very curated. I think that's a good word to put it. It's a very curated
Yes.
collection because it comes with a theme from our narrator. And our narrator happened to be this very eccentric, people phobic librarian. I don't know how else to call her. She has issues, and some of her issues come to life with her poor interns who are trying to kind of hold it together. As one of the biggest things for I think we wanted to point out in this collection as we went is like she does know that her interns read this because they're the ones typing in and they're like, maybe not, maybe she does it like because she's racist colors it and doesn't seem to care. And they're like, she does know we're here, right? Does she? We also the fact that the intro's like, we're getting paid. Like, where's this
I know,
money?
right? Like, what?
Where is this money coming from? As these collections progress and we get to have more and more fun, what are your expectations and what do you hope readers get from them?
Honestly, I hope readers will be able to connect like long term with the unique world that we're building and putting all of these into it. So far, it definitely seems like the readers have been really getting into it. It's sort of like a softer intro to these authors. A lot of these are authors who have either smaller followings or no followings. There's a couple that have popped in that have decent sized followings, but a lot of times there's just so many authors out there. When you search on Amazon for a book for the genre that you're thinking of, it's really hard to find anyone other than like the bestsellers. And so I love that like with this, we're creating this world that people are falling in love with. Like readers are loving the librarian and our antics with her and like this library. They're totally loving it. And I'm hoping that readers will be up for coming back and like seeing the adventures we're going on and keep giving these authors, these new to them authors, and sometimes, just authors that have popped back into their life. I hope that they're willing to keep giving them that chance. That's really kind of my favorite part of the whole thing is just creating a unique opportunity to be able to help these authors present their best to readers to help them be able to grow their audience and, us and like as a little side thing.
It has become one of those really fun because we went from this idea of, hey, let's put together these little anthologies to creating a whole different universe. And I think that's when it all clicked, when
Yeah.
this concept of like, what if these were actually very specific? It wasn't just Halloween and it wasn't just Valentine's or Christmas. It was very much like a lesson within a lesson and not the
Yes.
lesson that we thought. So they all come with very dark humor, very eccentric backgrounds, all trying to relate from this librarian's point of view, who is not a villain. I would like to
No,
point out in
she's
her
not a
life,
villain. But I mean,
she did
it
cancel Christmas.
I think it definitely falls into that whole category of like everyone is a villain in somebody's eyes.
And that's one of the fun things. So we have five amazing short stories in here. Do you want to tell us about it? Because some of the authors might not be able to come in. Tell us a little bit about the stories. What can our listener expect out of the whole collection?
Yes. So talked about mine, which is, the fantasy Hallmark Grinch retelling with the Good Witch. There's actually another one that is very, very Hallmark vibes, and that is by one of our Stephanies. We have two Stephanies in this. And this one is interesting because it's Hallmark vibes, but like if Santa's daughter was a best-selling Christmas author, and she's going to do a book signing in the bookstore. She's supposed to be doing this book signing in. She's supposed to be like helping her father fix the Christmas spirit of this village. It's very, very hallmarky watching their relationship grow. There's like some fake dating thrown into that, and like she drags him along to do caroling and all of these things, and him trying to avoid his ex, he actually like ends up agreeing to do some of the stuff. It's really fun, super sweet. And then we kind of like 180 a little bit. The other Stephanie wrote this like amazing dark ice fairy story. And I love that it is so not a traditional happily ever after. It is very much a learning to be content with yourself. And that this villain, she's very much like that is her happily ever after, that she is okay being who she is and that she doesn't need to change, which is totally one of my favorite things. And that's one thing I write a lot is not my characters not needing to change to get their happily ever afters. So that one's really fun. We have yours, which I know you will be talking a lot about as well with your your thieves in Grinch costumes. And then we also have probably the best Jack Frost story I think I have ever watched or read, with Jack Frost having a sister who is like just as sassy and snarky and powerful, but in like low key ways as he is. And he ends up accidentally having a mermaid show up on his porch in the middle of the forest, with a big like lake river kind of thing outside of his house, and she refuses to leave. And his sister won't let him kick her out either. Like the banter in this is so good. And it's really funny because it really is one of those ones that like Jack hates like everything but waffles. His waffles. Like he hates everything else. The whole collection is just so much fun and there's so much like sass and banter and like dark humor. I love it.
Took a whole bunch of thinking. How can you make a collection for Christmas that would be a little different? And this one came through really well. So Jamie pointed out that I'm going to be talking a little bit. I'm going to give you a rating of Kamikaze Grinches. We had an episode in Texarkana where ATMs were getting stolen. So hubby was like, "Ooh, that's kind of close to home." So how do you pick up an ATM and steal it was beyond me. So I was like, what if this trolls and like magical beings were stealing ATMs, but they were dressed as cringes? So my editor, who also lives in Texarkana, is like the visual of a troll holding an ATM over his arms and running down the street. I was
I
like,
love it.
she was like, it's priceless. Oh my God. It's like, I literally had to laugh. I was like, because you have poor Bob and Shorty going, only here. Like this only happens here. Like why is this happening in Texarkana? It's like, why not? So it is literally a car chase. It's a very much why is it happening? It's much more of a heist, little drama. And poor Constantine is getting blamed for everything because, at the end of the day, this is a little snippet of the guys in Reaper's world and kind of trying to make sure that their stuff doesn't get stolen, that they can catch the bad guy and still trying to deliver the package. So you guys get a little bit of everything. I think we're going from semi-sweet because it kind of ends in sweet to
Mhm.
banter to action to pretty much if Christmas needed a Netflix special, this would be
Yes.
it. This
Yes.
is such a Netflix special of like, let's do something else. And this will get you like turning pages fairly quickly.
It's funny because it really is totally one of those ones that makes me think of like when I was a kid growing up and watching those specials, and there's like the guy sitting by the fireplace, just like reading you these Christmas stories. Like this is absolutely those vibes where you're like, what? What? But then somehow when you actually like read them all in the librarian's like little world and like the way things are put together, it all clicks and makes like perfect sense.
One of those things is this is the story you actually have to read the introduction for all the stories to click. Like you can't just
Yes.
skip. Like normally when people have an introduction, you skip to chapter one. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to read this.
No.
This is the one you have to read the introduction to be like, what happened and why are they doing this? So the collection gives you the whole homage to Tales of Halloween because if you really want to figure out how she got stuck with these people in her mind, go back to that book. So we're going to give you some props for that. So we're also getting ready to start pumping and talking about our next one. Jamie, what do we have
Yes.
going on?
Tales of disastrous dates. The rule for this literally is it has to be a bad enough date that like you would tell your kids about it. You'd tell your grandkids about it, whether you ended up with that person or not. And that they all have to have a paranormal or magical twist, which like makes anything possible on these dates.
We have open submissions, guys, everywhere for all of our listeners who have want to take a chance at this. Jamie, where can they find it? Where can they submit to it? Tell us.
If you go to my website, jamiedalton.net, there is a page on there that keeps everything up to date for what the current one that just came out is, submissions, if we're doing any giveaways, and if you want to check out and see what has previously been published.
Right now, we're doing for everybody who is listening on this Friday, we're doing the 12 Days of Christmas on Facebook. So there is an entire game going. You can even go and watch some of the previous ones if you're watching this at a later time. Do you want to tell us about what that is so people can kind of be prepared and be like, ooh,
Yes. So we decided our release party online, we wanted to make it a reader appreciation event, really. And so we've got over 140 authors who are signed up, and they are all giving away free stuff, free books, swag, like Christmas cards, all sorts of things all week long. And then we also have a big grand prize where one lucky winner is going to be getting 12 signed copies from authors, including a copy of Tales of Christmas Villains. And there's a book from every author that published in this, and then also some others that have sent some in, which I was very surprised at some of the authors that we got. Like Casey L. Bond, I've already got hers. We've got Jessica Sundin sending a book. Maybe Julie Hall, actually, which has me very excited. Some of these books have little bits of swag snuck in with them too. That will not be given away until the very last day of this event.
so if you are listening and trying to figure it out, if you're listening this weekend, take a look at it. You still have some time to participate and enjoy. And if you're
Yes.
listening to this throughout the rest of Christmas, go check out this amazing collection. We had a blast putting it together because, Jamie's going to come back February 12th to talk about the new one because it's already on the schedule. I am trying to be so much better at planning this. Happy dance. So before we can continue, because I could talk to you forever, you know this. Ready for your reading?
Yes. I had to scroll for a second to find. So I always forget. You would think I would remember. I always forget.
We do this a lot. All right, here, all yours.
Okay. So I will preface just because you kind of missed some of the beat in the front. When I was writing this, I thought it'd be really fun to write it to where it has a little bit of the rhythm of the original Grinch story, because that has a little bit of a rhythm to it. So because I'm not doing the intro, I would share that. So under the veil of night the following day, Beck and his trusted dragon descended from their frigid cavern lair, slinking furtively through the snowy woods towards Ginger's quaint gingerbread cottage. Hurry, Ember, while that bothersome witch is sleeping, Beck hissed, a burlap sack for capturing his quarry clasped in one hand. They approached the cheery cottage, the scent of fresh-baked cookies drifting from the chimney. Beck pressed an ear to the icy window. Only the soft snores of his nemesis could be heard within. Beck picked the lock and crept inside, Ember close behind. By the dying ember's glow, Beck could see Ginger's sleeping form buried under a heap of fuzzy blankets. He tiptoed towards her bedside, pulling a vial from his coat. Pleasant dreams, Ms. Cheer, Beck sneered, wafting the potent sleeping potion under her nose. Within moments, Ginger slipped into such a deep sleep that nothing would wake her. Working quickly, Beck wrapped the witch's wrist in rope. He stuffed the slumbering witch into his sack and hoisted it over his shoulder. Come on, Ember, we've got a Christmas to ruin, Beck cackled as they left into the night. Ginger would awake imprisoned in Beck's wintry lair, unable to stop this dastardly design. The holiday doom he dreamed of finally seemed within grasp. Beck dragged the sack containing the sleeping Ginger all the way back to his icy lair, Ember flapping along behind. Deep in the depths of the cavern, he opened a large cage forged from icicle bars and frigid steel. It was the very same cage Beck had used to confine Ember when the dragon was but a pup. With a heave, Beck dumped Ginger's limp form inside and slammed the frosty door shut. The metal creaked and groaned from the cold. Sleep tight, witch, Beck growled. When you wake, Christmas will be no more. Chuckling to himself, he extinguished the lone oil lamp hanging nearby, cloaking the cage in darkness. His work was done. With Ginger imprisoned, Wildmire's holly cheer would soon meet its frosty fate. Exhausted from the night's efforts, Beck retired to his frozen chambers farther within the cave. He fell into a deep slumber atop piles of snowy furs with visions of Yuletide chaos dancing in his head. The next morning, rays of wintry sunlight filtered into the icy cavern, rousing Beck from his rest. He rose groggily, smacking his dry lips. What's that smell? He muttered. The air was filled with a tantalizing aroma he couldn't quite place. Curious, Beck made his way towards the mouth of the cave. As he turned the corner, the sight before him made him freeze in shock. The once dark cavern was utterly transformed. Garlands of holly lined the walls, enchanted candles floated overhead, bathing everything in a warm glow. A massive fir tree twinkled brightly in the center, buried under popcorn strings and candy canes. And spread before it was a feast, pancakes and sausage, hot chocolate and freshly baked cinnamon rolls still steaming. Beck's hands trembled in fury and confusion. What is this revolting display? He bellowed. Stomping over to the cage, he saw Ginger serenely sipping cocoa by a small fire, a knowing smile upon her face. What's the meaning of this nauseating nonsense? Beck thundered, gesturing wildly around the newly decorated cave. Ginger delicately sat down. Her steaming mug of hot cocoa met his gaze calmly. Why, it's Christmas cheer, of course. I thought we could celebrate it together up here. Beck's eye twitched, his hands clenching into trembling fists. You, he sputtered, too livid to form words. With a huff, he marched over to the cage door and wrenched it open. Get out, he bellowed, pointing a rigid finger towards the cave entrance, and take your revolting cheer with you. Ginger didn't budge, but merely craned her neck to meet Beck's glare. After you took so much effort to get me here? I think not. I'm quite comfortable right here. Thank you. Now have a cinnamon roll. I baked them fresh this morning.
My God, that is so cute.
Right?
I'm having issues to imagine you go through all that trouble to kidnap somebody and then it backfires on you. Like, really?
They refuse to leave. Yes.
That would be my luck. You go and kidnap somebody and then they don't want to go. Like, no, you got to go. Like, we're done with
Right?
you. Love it. All right, dear. Before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
Maybe.
Easy peasy. Don't think too hard on these. Let's do this. Cold drinks are hot.
Hot because they don't get watered down.
Oh, that's a really good point. I like. Knight or wizard?
Wizard.
Me too. Totally with you. Indie films or Hollywood blockbusters?
Yeah, I say Hollywood, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch much like American TV all that often anymore. And like since I had my daughter, who's almost 5, I haven't like been to a movie theater. So
I'm gonna go with indie.
like it's kind of hard. I'm like, I know they're like big movies like in shows in their countries, but I watched a lot of Bollywood and Korean shows and Japanese and Chinese. Like I watch a lot of non-American stuff.
I like. Glasses or contacts?
Glasses.
Last one. What is the one book that touched you the most?
Mastering Your Inner Mean Girl. It's a self-help book that's written by someone who had been like an actress slash model. And she literally talks about like retraining your thought process. So you kind of quit doing the self-negative talk, which makes a lot of people spiral and makes your depression worse and your anxiety worse and that kind of thing. And like she kind of teaches and talks about how she like had to learn how to identify that voice. And like when it pops in her head, she calls it her mean girl, her inner mean girl. And she literally like talks back to it in her head and is like, no, actually it's this. Yeah, that was like a life-changing book for me, honestly.
That is good to know. To our listeners, check it out. Dear, any closing remarks for our listeners before we go?
Definitely just keep your eyes open. We've got 4 of these planned for next year. And if you're an author, definitely keep your eyes open because we have Tales of Disastrous Dates, which is our Valentine's one. We've got Tales of the Crib, which is our Mother's Day, which is Moms in Magical Situations. We've got Tales of Wondrously Wicked Witches for Halloween. And then we have, so I can remember, Tales of the Snowden
Scoundrels,
yes, for Christmas for next year. So if you're listening and you're an author or you want to get into writing, remember this doesn't cost anything to participate in. Like, and especially if you need time to write that, we would love to see it.
It'll be so much fun, guys. Check it out. Check out the website for more information. Sweetie, thank you so much. Thank you for participating on the podcast. But most important, to keeping me sane and balanced and grounded. Because I can go off the deep end, and Jamie's like, "It's cool. I got this. I'll handle this."
It's true. I'm the I got this, but then when I'm like spiraling and I'm like, I need someone to ground me, you're who I hit up.
It's an amazing balance. So we're very grateful. So to our listeners, we've got 2 more authors joining us. So don't go anywhere. Their interviews is going to be amazing. And I will be doing a reading at the end. So guys, see you in a few. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this very special editions of Inside the Minds of Authors. I have Miss Stephanie. By the way, we have two Stephanies going on today, so let's go with this. It's going to be fabulous. I'm going to turn it over now to Miss Stephanie for your reading, and then we'll chit chat. It's all yours.
Summer was dull and boring. Children splashed as they waited. The parents sat around lazily drinking and flirting. The teenagers swam and enjoyed the water. Further in the depths, it crossed her mind to grab them, but it wasn't as fun without her ice magic. Was it the coolness in the water that brought the hot summer heat that she could understand? It was when fall came that her heart raced with excitement, for then she could devour their souls and watch them drown while their lungs filled full a beautiful liquid she found so precious. It made no sense to her why the humans found so much pleasure in a body of water. It wasn't a gift to them like it was to her. Even in the winter, people visited the lake. It was less, but they still came. With fewer people to witness a death, the easier it was not to worry about being seen. So just a little snippet.
I love it. Let's get started. I am so excited you're here. So, Madame, welcome and congratulations for being part of this anthology for this amazing story. So, I want to talk to you about it. Where did this idea come from? What were you thinking when you decided, this is going to be good?
I know, right? So I had actually seen the post from Jamie and I thought, oh my gosh, how fun. I like writing short stories. They're fun and you can whip them up really quick. I like reading multiple genres, and I know it's like the bad thing to write multiple genres, but I totally do. One of my favorite TV shows is Dexter. And the thought came to me that with Dexter, he is actually like a bad guy, right? And he's the serial killer. And yet, as we watch the show, we fall in love with Dexter because he's killing the serial killers, right? And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to write a villain for you to read and start to like her, see what she does? And so that was my thought process on it. And so I know there's been some people that weren't happy with the unconventional happily ever after, but we just have to remember that she's a bad guy and these are the things that she does. So for her, it was a happily ever after, right? Even though it's not the hero or princess happily ever after that we're used to.
I love the unconvention of it. So, the collections is Tales of Christmas Villain. And it was perfect to see her come into terms with it. She
Yeah.
goes through this journey of like, oh my God, am I missing out? What if this thing is called love? And at the end of it, you know what? I didn't feel too bad for him. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, I don't know.
Right?
I was like, you kind of had that coming. So
I
I could
know,
not.
right?
I I
Totally.
love this. Completely, her arc was a lot of fun. Absolutely unexpected, but it's still the fact of every hero, every villain has a story. Why does it have to be what we think is conventional?
Correct. I agree.
For this collection, when you saw the post, do you normally participate in lots of anthologies?
I've done one other one, and I actually was with Jamie then too. It was the Season of the Witch one. There's been some Facebook posts that I was like, oh, maybe I'll jump into that one. And I just didn't feel right. But this one, for some reason, I just thought, oh my gosh, this would be so fun. And actually, like all the titles, I'd love to be in every single one, but I know we have to skip every other. But I was like, dang, these all look so much fun. Like just a little bit of twist in each one, like just to make it fun. But this one, I think it was the Christmas because I love everything about Christmas. My kids, like, they've been sending me the reels of like mom, like doing Christmas before even
Mm-hmm.
Halloween, Thanksgiving. And that's totally me. One of the first things I moved into our new house, because we're in the middle of the move, right? Was my Christmas tree, which was the day after Halloween. So it was up. So you love everything Christmas, even with villains.
This is definitely your season. So the
Yes.
cover for
Yes.
this is so much fun. One of the things that Jamie and I really wanted to do with these collections was make them fun and
Yeah.
unconventional. Your submission, I could not stop laughing. I was like, I love
Good.
it.
I love it.
I loved it. And JV's like, has a different twist. Are you good? I was like, I like the twist. I like the unconventional. I like that she has her own happy ending in a very villain kind of way. So for everybody,
Yes, yes.
so tell us there, what do you normally write when you're not doing short stories?
I love romance. Both my daughters love to read, and so we always talk about how if there's not romance in a book, then it's just kind of, you know what I mean? it's hard to keep it going. It's what keeps you wanting, right? Probably one of my favorites is fantasy, but fantasy romance. I actually do have a high fantasy, and Jamie made my cover, which was like 2 years ago. And high fantasy is intense, so it's taking me forever. But I have a cowboy rom-com, I have a young adult fantasy with witches. So, like, I like to jump around with all sorts of things, a little bit of magic, a little bit of horses, because horses are my thing, but always a little bit of romance. And then I've got some Kindle Bellas. I'm one of those that breaks the writer rules and jumps around because I like to read all of it and I like mixing it up because I think if you always read fantasy, it kind of gets boring after a while, right? So I think read a little mystery. Horror is the one I don't do as often, but it has to be like little bits. But I can't like read like it or something where you're like terrified and screaming and like that's too much. If that makes sense.
You are a woman after my own heart because I am about the same. My stuff mixes a lot
Yes, I
as
love that.
well. It's fun and it's exciting, and you never get bored with it, which I think
Yes,
is
yeah.
very exciting. So this is definitely a short version of our podcast because I definitely want you back when you have a new release. You can come and tell us all about it. What advice would you give an up and coming author?
Oh, let's see. Just stick with it because it is a lot of work and it can be heartbreaking. And I think some of the most terrifying things is what people will say. Because, for example, if we go back to genres, if you write a horror book and someone hates horror and they read it, you're thinking, then why did you read it? But they do. Even with trigger warnings and genres, people still read what they don't like and then they hate on you for it. So you just have to have thick skin. And even though it's easy to say, not easy to do, just stick with it and just remember that someone out there will love it. And even if it's just the one person, then it makes it all worth it. And that's what's kept me going.
That is such a beautiful advice. Where can our listeners find you? Where they can learn more about your books and get more information on you?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I haven't jumped into the TikTok world because I was just feeling overwhelmed with everything. So a little bit of time, right? And I know I used to have a website, but I actually just demolished that like 2 months ago. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. So yeah, so just mostly Instagram and Facebook. And if I get brave, I'll jump into the TikTok world, but I haven't got there yet.
So, what are your handles for Instagram and what are your handles for Facebook? Tell us.
So for Instagram, it's at author Steph B. Witt. Would be Whitfield is my name was just so long. And then at author Stephanie B. Whitfield. So the whole thing for Facebook because it actually fit.
I love it. Before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
I think so. I hope so. Crossing my fingers, yes.
Super easy. I'm doing something a little different. So I'm going to use the same questions that I used with Jamie. So our listeners get to kind of go, oh, look how different they are. So let's do this. Cold drinks or hot ones?
Oh, that's tough. Can I do both? Like depending on the season.
Okay, we'll give you both.
Yeah.
Knight or wizard?
Night?
Okay.
Yeah.
Indie film or Hollywood?
Oh, probably Hollywood.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's okay.
I do support the indies though.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Glasses or contacts?
Oh, glasses for sure. I tried the contacts thing, didn't work for me.
Jamie's pretty much in the same boat. I understand.
Yeah.
So, what is one book that touched you the most?
Oh my gosh. We can't laugh at this because we all know. Do you know what like got me actually writing was Twilight because I realized like no offense to Stephanie Myers, but with the writing not being that great, I could write too. It's so bad. And it's so I'm so sorry because I did love it in a way, but yeah, inspiration.
It's a very honest answer. Can we say that?
Yes,
So,
absolutely. That's me.
we all needed that touch to be like, you know what? It gives me strength to say, if you can do it, so can I. So it'd be all
That's
good.
right. Yep,
Yep.
exactly.
I love it. It is such a pleasure that you're in this collection with us. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I had a blast by your story. Everybody needs to go check it out. A little twist, a little redemption in a villain way. So she finds her own happy ending. So enjoy it. Any closing remarks for us, sweetie?
I just hope you enjoy and just remember that she's the bad guy and she got her happy ending how she would like it, not how the hero or the princess would.
I love it. Listeners, remember we have one more author joining us this evening for this very special end of the season podcast episodes. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. This is a very special night. We're celebrating Tales of Christmas Villains. I have amazing authors joining us for this incredible collection. So I'm super, super excited. And now we have another amazing Miss Stephanie. So this is Stephanie and Stephanie. I'm loving it.
Oh,
Hello, madam. How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm turning it over to you so you can introduce you to your story and do your section, and then we'll start talking.
Perfect. So my story is How the Grinch Stole Miss Christmas. Just a sweet, very hallmarky Christmas story about a poor guy that's down on his Christmas luck and very grinchy, and the girl that breaks him out of it. So I will do some reading. It was book signing week at just one more chapter, only his least favorite week of the month. This one happened to be in his least favorite month, December, and in his least favorite season, Christmas. It would be an understatement to say Grayson Cole was dreading everything about this week. There was little he could do about it, though. Yes, it was his bookstore, and yes, that normally meant that he was the final decision maker in all things. However, he knew his limitations, and when it came to this month, during this season, he wasn't at his best decision making self, and he let his closest, potentially only friend, Jack Alpin, make the decisions for him, even if it meant his bookstore was hosting Avery Kringle, the famous Christmas romance writer, nicknamed by the world as Ms. Christmas, something he would have sworn would never happen in his shop, and it wouldn't have if he had been paying any attention to what Jack was planning. The bookstore could have had a signing without it being related to Christmas. All of this to say, he was going to kill Jack once he was done handling the woman barreling towards him, dressed like some kind of elf. Not an elf like Legolas and Arwen from Lord of the Rings, but an elf from the North Pole. The elf was followed by a second elf? What was going on here? Hi, a young woman with the brightest blue eyes he'd ever seen peeked out from behind the stack of boxes she was carrying. Can you take these for a moment? Oof. Suddenly he was holding a stack of very heavy boxes. I'm Avery Crinkle, and this is my assistant, Clara Stone. She pointed to a woman with green ringlets that matched her green eyes. We're so excited about the signing, she continued to walk towards his bookstore, turning back briefly with a smile so bright it nearly blinded him. He stood there watching the whirlwind in front of him, so that was Avery Crinkle. She was everything and nothing like he expected. She was so bubbly, everything swung when she walked, from her blonde and pink ponytail to her shapely hips, and even to the blue and white pom-poms on her snow boots. Grayson had never seen a person walk with that much pep in their step. He knew he was going to be in trouble. Are you coming? There's a lot to do before the signing. Avery turned back towards him. He swore he could see a twinkle in her blue eyes. Which store is yours? I can't wait to see what books you carry. It's just up the street towards the right, in between the crystal shop and bakery. He continued towards the two vibrant women. I love bookstores. There's just something about them. I don't know if it's because they house the stories of thousands of creative minds, or if I just like the smell of paper. I rather like the first thought, don't you? She paused. Grayson nodded from behind the boxes. It felt like she expected him to respond to her constant rambling, but he couldn't see her, so he wasn't sure. It's just such a romantic idea, a room full of nothing but stories, and then you add all the covers and the bindings. It's a one place where we honor this form of art. A store like this is a museum where you can take the artifacts. It's wonderful that you provided a place like this here in town. She drifted off. He assumed she was standing in front of the bookstore and saw its lack of magic.
I love it. Let's get started. Miss Stephanie, I love this story when I got to read it. I thought it was absolutely priceless. And I'm normally not the Hallmark holiday kind of girl, but it was so full of sass about everything this story. Where did the idea come from? Tell me.
So it's actually really interesting because Dalton, went on TikTok and was like, which Christmas story should I do? this one about this smutty romance writer and a bookstore owner, or this one about a witch. And I was like, well, you do the one about a witch. I'm a writer and a bookstore owner. I'm going to take that from you. And she said, do it, because she didn't have time to write both and she wanted the story to come alive. So I took her idea and ran with it.
You did awesome. So Jamie had mentioned that earlier. It's like you would be surprised which story she's doing. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. What
It,
twist did you add to this?
well, I would say I made her Santa's daughter, which you find out at the very beginning that she's Santa's daughter. And one of the twists is kind of how Grayson reacts to it. And you have to read it to find that out because that's at the very end. But also his past. I'm a lawyer, so I made him a lawyer that had to deal with a unpleasant Santa case. Take that however you want it to mean, as unpleasant as you want it to mean. And his ex-fiance, everything bad happened to him at Christmas time. So his ex-fiance left him and then came back wanting, you know, him to be her side piece.
That part I was like, oh, really? Did you go there? Couldn't you just leave the men alone? Just leave him alone.
No, she had to come back. I mean, with a name like Vivian. Sorry if anyone's named Vivian.
So tell me, dear, what else do you write when you're not writing short stories? What is your main genres?
So my main genres are all kind of speculative fiction so far. So I have steampunk murder mysteries, which are like historical, but also made up historical because he wants all that fact finding. And then I have cozy fantasy, and my next book coming out is going to be a high fantasy.
How do you switch between all of them?
I don't know, my brain is messed up. It just has all of it going on, and it needs all.
I love it. I love that you're able to go back and forth.
Stick with my name, so you can all find it under my name, because my books are all feminist, all of them with strong female characters, and my men are all very much like cinnamon roll, cozy, supportive, awesome people.
Aw.
Unless they're a
Okay.
villain.
So where can they find you? You said stick with my name. Where are you located? Tell us.
I'm on Amazon, of course. I'm also starting to sell on my website, which is stephaniekclemens.com. That's going to be a big push towards the new year. And I just pre-launched my Kickstarter for the high fantasy book. So you can find that on, it's called Stripped Away. Find that on Kickstarter.
Woo! You have lots of projects coming. You got lots of stuff. Oh, exciting. I'm excited for you. How do you feel?
I'm really excited about all the writing stuff. I'm doing live events and actually being somewhat profitable. Yay! $4 profit on a study in Steam today. Like for the first time, like it's not just like, ooh, I'm getting close. Sorry, it's so exciting. Like it's so exciting. I can buy a cup of coffee. But it's that I love to travel, so I like doing all these book signings and meeting people and new fans and making fans and actually getting these ideas on paper when I'm not doing my like muggle job.
Love the fact that you're getting to do all these fun things and experience it and share with people. What advice would you give an up and coming author?
Stick to it. Like really get your first draft on paper. Don't try to be perfect because none of us are, and save money up because it's not cheap to self-publish. Like you can do things if you're good at editing. I'm not, despite being a lawyer as a full-time job, like there's a reason we have paralegals because my grammar is good, but I would miss everything. You need people saying go you all the time because you might not always say go you.
That is very true. You need a team. You need a team that's going to have your back and actually cheer for you. So, yes. All right, madam. Are you ready for the lightning round before you leave us?
Sure.
Okay. Easy peasy. I'm trying to see how everybody else ventures in this one. Cold drinks or hot drinks?
Cold.
Awesome. Knight or wizard?
Wizard.
That's okay. It's all good. Indie film or Hollywood blockbuster?
Hollywood blockbuster.
Glasses or contacts?
Glasses.
Okay. Here's a little different. Which book has touched you the most?
Probably The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Why?
The concept of it, trying to make your mark on the world where you can't be remembered, was just so fascinating. And I think we all feel that today with social media and how everything's happening and wanting to leave a mark, but it being so hard because we're pulled in so many different ways. It's not necessarily my favorite book, but it's the one that stuck with me after I read it the longest. Like, I think they should teach it in school.
I had somebody else tell me the same thing, and they were so like more traumatized than anything. They're like, I don't even know how to like process that. I was like, that's intense.
The book, it was, for some people I know, it was a real tear. That is The Seven Lives of Evelyn Hugo. I cried so hard, I could barely finish the book. Luckily, I had it on audio, so I didn't need my vision to be able to read it. But yeah, no, The Invisible Life of Adelie Rowe, I think, is just so poignant for today's day and age. And like I said, I think it should be taught in school. Like, we don't need the Scarlet Letter. We need this book.
It's a really good point. I love it. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being part of this collection. I love your stories. To our listeners, you need to go check it out. This is definitely one of those feel good, make you want to think Christmas. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm actually stay here for a little bit. Don't leave us because I'm going to be doing my reading like I promised. So we're going to go from there. See you guys in a bit. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Hope you guys have enjoyed this amazing episode, this very special end of the year season finale. It is our 175 episodes. So I'm doing a happy dance. So I'm thankful you guys are joining us. Thank you guys have stayed with us and truly have enjoyed everything we have. So today, happy dance, because I told you I was going to do a reading, and I decided to do actually the introduction. We had talked a lot about this collection having this very special narrator. I figured instead of reading a piece from mine, how about if I read you the letter from the librarian? So we love her sass and everything else. I'm going to introduce you to who she is in this collection. So I'm going to do the reading of her letter to you guys. So let's get started. Well, hello, my dear reader. After the enormous success of Halloween collection with the public Tales of Halloween, Tales has tasked me with the publication of a Christmas one. Success of the publication is something I'm highly concerned with. That collection meant as an internal document for you, or dear benefactor. But Tales has a mind of his own and is enjoying the recent fame. To clarify, in case you come across this collection without my knowledge, Tales is the largest and most magnificent repository of information in both the human and the supernatural world. While Tales is technically a library, it has a sentient mind. Right now, I'm sure it's enjoying playing with my emotions. The fact it wants a collection while we are in the middle of a crisis is beyond me. Due to all the unusual storms in the Pacific, for secure entrance to that side of the world, it's underwater. Let's be honest. There's a reason it was named the Pacific. It's supposed to be calm and behave, not like the sibling, the wild Atlantic. With this crisis at hand, you can only imagine what this means. We must preserve and rescue all the knowledge. Of course, as the librarian for Tales, it is my duty to make sure that gets done. Now that I have 3 interns, I don't want to discuss that process again, but you can find all the details of that fiasco in the Halloween publication. It's only fair that I task them with this critical mission. I'm not exactly sure why they're upset. Christmas is only one day of the year. Canceling that day was the only prudent course of action for this mission. Losing those books, parchments, and even scrolls will be a devastation to the universe. They just need to hurry and move them to the Dead Sea area. It's only 13,000 books, not that big of a deal. I just don't understand all the complaining. Somehow, their muttering can be heard throughout the library. The librarian interns, you would think they would know the first rule is silence. Nobody wants to hear whimpering about pruning hands. Unfortunately, the library thinks they might need a break. Like we actually have time. I have assigned them the compilation of this collection. This will be a great teaching moment of what a true Christmas villain looks like. I have selected several short stories to give them a better perspective of their situation. Please do me a huge favor, since I'm very busy and you're already reading this collection. Monitor anything that looks unusual on these pages. I have a rumor say that they have added secret messages throughout the document. Since I do not have the time to review the final manuscript, I need your assistance for the quality control process. Send me a note. No need to come in person. I do break in hives in the sight of too many humans. Now, back to this collection. Because of this latest emergency, this collection will be fairly short. We do have for here. To prove that I'm a caring and understanding supervisor, I have allowed two of the interns to include their most recent tales in this collection. It's also important to point out that one of my dear interns just happens to be personal journalist to our biggest benefactor. No, Constantine, I'm definitely not complaining. Something he failed to mention. And now it seems his life is being immortalized in print. Not going to ponder that anymore. By the way, I'm still looking for Jaime Dalton, my third intern. While you're doing me that favor, please keep an eye out for her as well. Why am I paying for 3 interns and only have 2 show up? I just wish they will make a decent cup of coffee. Somehow my cups seem to get stronger and stronger as the hours go on. Also, why do I have 12 days of Christmas stuck in my head? Never mind. It's time for you to enjoy this collection. Looking forward to your report. On a personal note, because I like you, avoid folding pages of this book. We have fine for that as well. Happy reading. Me, the librarian. Intern notes. DC. Hey, Magdictra. Isn't Irish cream the same as half and half? Magdictra. What? No. Why? DC. Oops. Magdictra. Oops. What happened? DC. Nothing. Don't worry about it. Note to self, do not make the librarian café con leche with Irish cream. Not milk. By the way, she does know we are the ones typing these and can read her comments, right? Magnetra. That's a great question. But do you know we were getting paid? DC, we are? As much as I love reading, books don't count as payments. Magnetra. We need a plan. Time for operation. Escape from the library. Let's go. So that is the introduction, my friends, to Tales of Christmas Villain, directly from the librarian. She'll bring you some fabulous sass because honestly, she's trying. The interns from the fabulous Miss Jaime Dalton and myself, and Jaime Dalton's ultra ego pen name, Magnetra, will give you some adventures this collection has. Short stories, very, very fun. You got to hear a couple of them as well. We got some recipes. We got some amazing, amazing fun stuff. So take a look at it. Just remember, my friends, thank you for joining me this year. This is the end of the season. I'm super excited. I'll be back again in February. So if you have been missing any of the episodes, go back and check it out. There's 175 other episodes. Plus, just an FYI, the reading of The Origins of Constantine is also here. So just go back, take a listen. You can get a free audiobook while you listen to all the other fun things and enjoy. In the meantime, enjoy the New Year's. I will see you guys back or hear you guys back in 2024 for our season again. Thank you, everyone. Bye.